Good Tuesday morning. Oh my gosh, I was about to say good Monday morning. Why? Because, well, for those of you who have tuned in to our previous live streams, on-demand episodes of Serving Veterans Who Served Us, you might recall we try to do it on a Monday. However, with just some scheduling stuff, we had to move it to the next closest day. So here we are. And with all of that said, I've got my co-host Jason Hinsley in the green room, in the house. And before we bring him in, we're going to let him get himself ready a little bit. But guess what, everyone? Guess what? We are 2 weeks out, roughly 2 weeks out from celebrating Veterans Day. And for many of you, you'll probably have a day off work. So enjoy that given Monday in November. So with that said, let's welcome Jason into the conversation. And because I haven't seen him in a while, time goes so fast. Let's give Jason a big rip-roaring his fan base applause. We got to warm the guy up. So here we go. There you go, Jason. Here we go. Let's bring you into the conversation, buddy.
All right. That's my kind of crowd.
That's your kind of crowd. My kind of crowd too, man. Who doesn't like people waving their hands, waving their cell phone with lights on, spotlights all on all of us, right?
Yep, 100%. So I'm here with inadequate lighting, wearing a hat outside. That's a microphone, breaking all the podcasting rules. Let's do it.
You're coming into today's episode in the business that you're in, that sometimes, more times than not, just requires you to be mobile, ready to go. So hey, nothing wrong with that. So since the last time we spoke with each other and when I saw you, what's new? Let's start with that.
What's new? Just putting properties on the market, adding some inventory.
Love it.
We've got a lot of buyers waiting on the sideline till after the election.
Yeah. Jason, I think you froze on me.
What's been in?
Oh, here you go. Hey, Jason, I think your cell phone signal is kind of spotty, or you're freezing on me here and there. Can you hear me okay?
Am I back?
You're kind of back. Yes. You're doing this.
All right, sorry about that.
You're doing a slow-mo thing on me.
Still?
A little bit.
All right. Should be fixed now.
All right. Well, let's keep going. So you're doing what is obviously a large community of people are waiting for, which is their outcome. So for your sellers, you're helping them move their properties to be sold. For buyers, they're anxiously waiting in the wings for that right property to appear so that you can show it to them, right?
Yep.
Cool beans. So that's a good that's good feedback that I'm hearing, right? We need more inventory. Otherwise, for the past year, for the past 2 years, we've been caught in this game of musical chairs. Only so many chairs on the floor, but a lot of people walking around trying to get a chair.
Yeah, I've actually got a buyer coming in from West Virginia next week to look at a house here.
Wow, love it.
So we're bringing them from everywhere.
Bringing them from everywhere. Is it a job relocation or some other life event?
No, I advertise nationally for my properties. So the guy's wife saw the house and she loves it, and he's in a position where he can work anywhere in the country.
Yep.
So they're going to fly out and look at the house next weekend, and we'll see what happens.
All right. Sounds very good. So with that said, you started touching on this. So as far as a current market update, more inventories coming onto the market. That's a good sign. Anything else that's going on that our audience members should be very aware of?
Yeah, in Chicago where I am, I'm seeing a lot of people, and I'm kind of teasing this a little bit because we're gonna talk about it some more, I think, in this podcast. But we're getting a lot of people from Florida, who are moving back after being away from Chicago, the Chicago metro area for a while.
Okay.
So that's pretty interesting. Lots of reasons, and I'm sure we'll touch on those. Why people would leave Florida to come back to the Midwest.
Yeah. Well, let's call it like it is. Florida and a few other southeast states, they benefited from the run up of movement, right? Migration during pandemic times, and sometimes the old cliche is what goes up really fast tends to fall a little bit. So I'm sure you'll share some more reasons about that. Interestingly enough, my sister and brother-in-law live in Tampa, Florida. So with the recent hurricane, they hightailed that out of there to escape the wrath. Luckily for them, Grace and Todd, if you're watching, luckily for them, their home was safe. A few things were, compromised, got wet or whatever, but structurally everything was safe. But as my sister tells me, no, we're booking out of here.
Yeah, I have family in that area too, and I visited them, I want to say 2 summers ago. Okay. And we were driving around, and I saw in the trees there were these markers, like red bands, purple bands. And I kept seeing these things, and I asked them, I said, well, what are those 10-foot markers on these trees? And they're like, oh, that's the high water mark.
Wow. Yeah.
It's over 10 feet. And we were pretty far inland. So the water has gotten that high in the past that they know of.
Right.
It was kind of scary to think about in those terms, that they have a possibility of getting over 10 feet of water pretty far inland, in the greater Tampa area. It's just kind of unreal.
Yeah, it is.
Glad your family's all right.
Yeah. And my sister, brother-in-law, sounds like yours. They're inland as well. They're not right there in Tampa Bay. Yeah. But you just never know. Mother Nature with her wrath, you can't predict what's going to happen, Yep. All right. Let's now shift the conversation to this next topic, which I know you know a lot about because you've moved quite a bit. Yep. And let's talk about this. Across the U.S., what are some? Let's keep it to like the top 5. What are some of the top 5 VA friendly cities or metro areas? I'll lead off with the one that I think is kind of obvious to me, San Diego.
Yep.
What's another one, or a few more?
I'd say just off the top of my head, because I did not rehearse for this. I'd say Honolulu. Hawaii. Yeah. A lot of veterans retire there. It's a great climate, nice place. Another one, probably the greater Seattle area.
Yeah,
there's a ton of bases up there. And then in Western Washington as well. So Seattle kind of pulls all that.
Right.
All the branches are there.
Yeah.
Obviously, Chicagoland.
Yeah. We've got, what is it? The Great Lakes Naval, Station, the VA Hines Hospital, amongst other notable areas, right?
Yeah, we got lots of installations here. So,
yeah. So here in the greater Chicago area, because I know you sell a lot of real estate, you are open to where your clients need you. What are some of the top 5 VA-friendly communities or suburbs?
Yeah, I mean, just kind of by the numbers, you got Naperville, which is kind of a popular suburb with everybody. So, of course, it's going to be popular with veterans. You got Gurnee, a lot of veterans in that area, and which is also by the naval base. and not far from my house. And then I would say, like, hang on, I got some notes here. Maybe in Orland Park.
Yeah,
that's a southern burb. I just sold a house down there a few months ago.
Yeah.
Not to a veteran, but there are a lot of veterans down that way.
Yeah.
A lot of conveniences down there. Hoffman Estates. And then I would say, there's a lot in the western burbs around Hines, and I'm pretty familiar with that area. I've actually got 4 houses listed, or 2 listed now, 2 coming on this week in Riverside and Brookfield. A lot of veterans in that area. And then you've got kind of different price tiers in that area around Hines. So it's convenient. You got neighborhoods like Lyons, Broadview, pretty affordable. Your Berwyn's, your Brookfields, Riverside, LaGrange Park. So those are all pretty popular. You'll see AMVET halls and American Legion halls everywhere out there.
Absolutely. And let's not forget the brothers and sisters who served to protect us, who live in the city of Chicago. There's a lot of neighborhoods that are very friendly as well.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that intel, that information. For those of you watching and or listening to today's episode, a shout out to you. Hey, drop your comment, drop your post as to where you might be living and calling home. We'd love to hear from you. So we'll look forward to your social post and whatnot in that way. Let me now shift the conversation to this one aspect of owning real estate property that can be quite expensive, and that is property taxes, right, Jason?
Mm-hmm.
What has been your experience helping some veteran clients work through their process of making sure that they are exempt from paying property taxes? Can you speak to that for us?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different statuses you can get to get a discount. If you have different disabilities and whatnot.
Right.
The main thing is making sure you have that proper paperwork from the VA.
Yeah.
Most of the folks I've worked with have processed that through the Hines system. Hines is the name of the hospital here. We've stopped a few times. I don't know if we've said exactly what that place is. It's a big complex. They even have their own police force and their own zip code. So it's huge. Services a lot of our veterans and military members. But yeah, the big thing is getting through that process to get your proper disability.
Right.
And there's tons of groups. What I do is I leave it to those experts. There's tons of different nonprofit groups that will assist veterans getting through that process and kind of coach them through it and help them out. Because if you make one mistake, you got to kind of start the whole process over again. So you want to make sure you're doing it correctly to get those benefits that you deserve. And once you have that status, then you can apply for your kind of discounted rate on your
your discounted rate or your full exemption, like you said, based on the level of disability from your veteran status. So thank you for dropping that intel, that information, and or for those of you who already kind of know about it, but maybe you haven't taken advantage of it for whatever your reasons are. A great reminder there, Jason. Let me now welcome our special guest, who is kind enough to share her time with me and you, Jason. And just like you talked about earlier, Jason, you said, hey, there is a lot of people moving back home here to the Midwest, land of Lincoln, from the Sunshine State. So let's welcome my special guest, Marianne, home into today's conversation. And let's get her perspective on maybe one of a few reasons why. Hello, Marianne.
Hi.
How are you? Can you hear me?
Oh, she froze up.
I think Marianne froze on us.
I don't feel so bad about freezing up earlier.
Technology, it happens, right? So we'll see if Marianne can restart her signal or whatever the case is. But Jason, let's talk about that, right? We both have family members that live in Florida. I think I know this, and maybe you're going to second it or concur.
Okay,
According
I'm
to
back.
my sister, there you go. There you go. You're back.
I don't know. This is a new building for us, like a new office.
Okay.
So I think my internet, it could be on my end as well. I apologize.
No worries.
So for time's sake, can you just repeat what you?
Absolutely. So Jason and I earlier were talking about, there was a movement of people back to Illinois because they moved to Florida for whatever motivated them. And Jason and I, we're easily nodding. We kind of know the reasons why, but since you're the subject matter expert, Marianne, as far as insuring property, could it be because cost of insurance is pretty high?
It probably is. I mean, we do still have a lot of snowbirds.
Okay.
Obviously, affordability with a state like Florida where they're self-insured because, with all the devastation that's happened.
Right.
We are seeing a lot in the Midwest. We actually cover Michigan, Wisconsin, Indiana, Illinois, Tennessee. The cost of homes and in general, we've seen probably up to 40%, depending on where they're at.
Yeah.
And square footage. So with that being said, insurance, the rising cost when people escrow their insurance and taxes, it's lots of times it's almost like sticker shock.
It is.
And they don't know if it was their taxes that go out. They have no clue until they finally open their renewals for their insurance.
Right.
And they're shocked to see that it was actually more times than it's the insurance that went up, the home insurance.
Yeah, I know. I get those calls here and there, sometimes more often than not, from clients about, Bill, my mortgage payment gone up. And
Why?
so I listen and then I say, well, let's talk about that, right? So I know where you're coming from. Jason, you agree? The cost of insurance has gone up for you and maybe people that you know?
Yeah. I mean, everything's going up. Nothing goes down.
Nothing goes down.
But I got a question for Marianne. Well, I got you. I can't wait to ask this. I got a client who's moving back from Florida, and I asked him, well, why? And he said his homeowner's insurance went up 500%.
Wow.
Does that sound even possible? I mean, is it really going up that fast in Florida, or was he maybe exaggerating?
Again, we don't do business in Florida.
Yeah.
A lot of even as a broker, we stay clear of the captive, and I'm not going to name names of different captive carriers, but everybody is affected by the hurricanes, by the fires in California. So when you've got a captive insurance company, people are like, why am I suffering for this in the Midwest? So with that being said, I haven't heard of anything that drastic, but we've got many clients that more of them are kind of in condos and stuff as well, where, that kind of stuff is, I've got family members in Florida. They moved from Illinois and luckily they were all safe this last time, but it's not the first time that they've seen this, and they complain all the time as well.
Yeah.
Auto, we talk about vehicles, auto insurance, things that drive these markets are just, I don't think the average consumer really understands it. But why? My house is not worth $800,000.
Yeah.
If I put it on the market, it's only going to go for $600,000 or $400,000. Right. Why are you telling me you're saying it's worth? And that's where the confusion and that's where the education comes in. It's not market value; it's replacement cost.
Yeah.
And that's how insurance companies rate your premiums.
Right. And the replacement cost is a combination of material costs going up and also labor, right?
Yeah, it's labor, it's some of the driving factors, assertive competitive contractors.
Right.
Huge. Open floor plans. A lot of these newer homes have these open floor plans, square footage.
Yeah.
Lots of things take into consideration. And most carriers, we all kind of use the same MSB.
Mm-hmm.
And replacement cost calculating, to kind of say, well, you've got a 3,000 square foot home. I kind of think that kitchen may be more than just a builder's grade.
Yeah.
And my underwriters will call me and say, you put this down as a builder's grade.
Yeah.
So.
My next question, Marianne, is because you see what you see every day. This question is probably a question you have an easy answer to, and that is, for your average household, I'm curious, for your average household, of course, they're insuring one home, right? At least their primary home that they live in. But I'm curious, how many cars are the typical household insuring?
It's a good question. That does vary.
Okay.
When we have a lot of youthful drivers,
Yes.
And they have access to the cars,
Right.
People kind of stay clear of that. But I would say probably 3.
Yeah, that's my gut feeling.
I think 3. You've got his car, her car, and then another car, and it's like, okay. I just had a guy that just bought a 2024 Mercedes-Benz, and it's like, ooh. Okay, let's add that to the premium.
Yeah. One of my neighbors, Marianne, he has 5 cars. Can I tell you why? So Jason's like, oh my gosh. Well,
yeah, tell us why.
I'll tell you why. So it's he and the missus. So they have their own car, right? And then they have a family of 5. And all of the 5 kids are now, guess what? They're teenagers.
Yeah.
So most recently, I saw him drop another car onto the driveway, and I'm like, oh, there's the next child that just got the license.
Yeah, it's rough. I try to have empathy because, especially when they are coming to us and home costs have risen, and then they tell us they have 3 youthful drivers, and I just keep my fingers crossed that one of them might be a female, because
yes,
with 3 male drivers, it's not pretty.
So for someone like Jason and myself, so guys are more dangerous drivers?
Just rated that way. 20. Yeah, it's youthful male drivers are. Yeah.
Do you agree, Jason? Are we more dangerous drivers?
100%. Yep.
Well, I would beg to differ. And Marianne, because you met my wife, she drives like a bat out of hell. I think she's the more dangerous driver.
I don't think it's that, though. I think it's the distractions.
Oh, got it. Okay. All right.
So we have some carriers that actually make them watch a video.
Yeah.
To get a discount for the youthful driver.
Right.
You have to pass, and it's like and I have customers that come back to me and say, my child learned more through these videos.
Right.
Than they did in the driver's ed, and it was so empowering. So
yeah. Too funny. So you're spot on. My guess also is the fact that the average household, they're insuring at least 3 cars. Pretty common. So as we wrap up today's episode of Serving Veterans Who Served Us, and that's all of you watching us, listening to us, thank you for your service. As you look forward to celebrating your day. Absolutely. In about 2 weeks. As you heard from Jason, for those of you who may be moving back to Illinois from wherever you did move to, or like one of his clients who can work anywhere, and he's thinking, the family is thinking, hey, we don't want to live on the East Coast. We want to come to land of Lincoln. how can you start a conversation with Jason, myself, and along the way, perhaps even Mary Ann home? It's really easy. All you got to do is scan the QR codes. Jason and I will gladly start a conversation with you, whether it be a virtual one at first and or eventually an in-person conversation, consultation to help you get to where you want to be as part of your next chapter. So with that, Mary Ann, Jason, thank you for sharing your time with me, with our audience members today. And hey, we're wrapping up October. Any special plans for the scary day, Halloween?
I'm leaving for New York, so that might qualify. It might qualify.
That might qualify. Well, yeah, that might qualify. What about you, Jason? I know you got little kids. You go with them the trick or treat, or you let them do their own thing?
No, we take them trick or treating.
Okay.
And then we'll go to a Halloween party here in the neighborhood and just have a good time, celebrate, and eat a lot of candy.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure.
It's a kids' day. They love it. They love it.
Yeah. We'll all get high on the sugar a little bit. So everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's episode of Serving Veterans Who Served Us here on a Tuesday. We look forward to seeing you in the next episode. And as we close out today's episode, let's do it with some music. Here we go.